That fan, can you hear that fan?
Nah, mate, I can't. Can't hear that fan, man. Yeah, he should be able to hear you. Yeah.
Okay, we are ready to go now. So it's live now. Excellent.
Live now, cool.
I just went 720p standard. I don't like to tempt fate, even on this super fast internet connection of mine.
Oh yeah, talk it up. Live chat.
Sorry, I thought I lost you there, Rob.
Nah, I'm here, mate. He loves you in a very I wouldn't say a homosexual way, but
Jesus, just be careful. Look out. Look out. That's probably the best. That's probably as that's probably going to be good considering what we're going to go with tonight. I reckon that's probably not too bad.
yeah, it's not too bad. I think there's going to be some very dodgy things said tonight.
Round 9, of course it is. All right, I am ready, brother. So I'm just going to get the intro music going, and we're going to kick it off. Okay.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay. Next voice you will hear will be mine. I don't know why I needed to say that, but anyway. Oh yes, this just gets the juices up and about. Oh yes. It's that time of the week again, ladies and gentlemen. A big good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching right around the world. That's right, it's time for round 9 of this SRL Project Cars 2 Championship Season number 3. And tonight we're here at the Oschersleben Grand Prix circuit in Germany. Probably more appropriate to say Guten Morgen or Guten Tag. Good day to you all. Thank you very much for joining us on the live stream tonight. Oh boy, comments coming in everywhere already. Connor Elliott up and about, preparing for a great show tonight, fellas. And Jason Wilkinson, our man Wilco, who we nearly needed to just stand in tonight, says let's go. And it's with great pleasure I welcome my co-commentator who's had a few dramas so far this evening, preparing for tonight's race. But Rob, you managed to make it along, mate. How are you this week?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. My foot is rotting at the moment, but it's better than not being here. We love being here and commentating. It's looking like a good race, good little circuit. Oschersleben actually, good little technical corners, pretty quick for a lot of the circuit. Really hard to overtake on tonight, so it's going to be. I think the race is going to be won and lost in the qualifying session tonight, Truve.
Always very important. 16 turns, 3.66 kilometres here at this circuit tonight. A qualifying session of 15 minutes as we get ready to get straight into it again for another week. And the race distance, I should say, is 25 laps. As a sub-GT racer, not wasting any time at all getting out onto the circuit as we follow his progress in the Corvette out onto the track to get some laps in nice and early. A bit of a banker lap, a bit of an installation lap you might call it. Tyre wear for tonight is accelerated. The race date is the 26th of April. And that is the default date. Race time 1300 hours or 1 p.m. So no night race this week or sunset like we saw last week. But Rob, very exciting time each and every week. We love it. And it's you wouldn't miss it for the world. You wouldn't miss it for a hospital visit. But what are we expecting here tonight, mate? So much drama in the previous couple of weeks. So much drama everywhere. We saw that intense battle for 4th place. I think there were 5 cars nose to tail at one stage. And this track, it looks pretty good. I reckon we might see more of that tonight.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good tonight, Trev. I don't know what to expect. I mean, we've had some really good hardcore racing for the last couple of weeks. Pretty much drivers side by side, nose to tail. Really good action on track for the last couple of weeks, and honestly, this is going to be one of those circuits where it bunches everybody up. I actually driving this circuit a fair bit, and it feels like one of those Australian sort of circuits, really tight, really technical, really stop-start. So it's one of those circuits where you're going to be up behind a car for a lot of the lap. This is one of the main overtaking sections, actually. Hotel corner, the left and right, little chicane going into a long right-hander. Really difficult, actually. You don't want to get the power on too early, otherwise you're going to be out on the grass on the outside. And you can see there, Sub GT, just a little bit, that car looking a little bit squirrely going through the corner, but other than that, done the right line through there. But very tight, twisty track, really technical, and it's going to be good to see who's going to be on top here. And actually, I think in our pre-race notes, it said that Trust did a 1:23 around here, which is the fastest lap. I think it's under the record. Last night I was actually on here with Wimp, who's in Tier 2, and he was doing a 1:22, Trev.
Absolutely blistering pace. And Sub GT, boy, he is looking good, like you said, Rob. This track opened in July 1997. We love a good bit of history at some of these venues that we go to. It was opened as the Motor Park Oschersleben, Germany's 4th permanent race course after the Nürburgring, Hockenheim Ring and the Saxon Ring. 16 corners, beautiful, smooth, fast circuit, this one. And like we've been saying, we're going to see some ripping action here tonight as we've got the qualifying results from Tier 2, I should say. We're watching Tier 1 at the moment, and it's Def Dude taking pole position ahead of V-Fingers, and then third it is Ned. Oakley dokley. And then in fourth it is Familiar GTR. I hope I've said that right. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough if we haven't. Paul in fifth. Sixth is Broomy. Aussie Bro in seventh. Compact in 8th, 9th is John Dog. So some interesting results there, Rob, and well, a few new names in there as well. I think I butchered a couple of them, but always good to get those Tier 2 results through, so thank you very much for that. And Connor says he's sad not to see Cart in the field, but we do hope, Rob, that he's enjoying himself on holiday.
Yeah, I mean, Cart Dude probably deserves it. He's had a bit of a run of bad luck, had some really good results and then ended up crashing out. But gee, his drive last week where he took a self-imposed grid penalty, didn't get to qualify due to actions at Le Mans, and still managed to come up through the field and finish third. That's a ripping drive, so I think he deserves a holiday after that one, Drew.
Certainly does. Speaking of Cart Dude, with big hello to you. Hopefully you're tuning in wherever you are, holidaying around Australia or indeed around the world. And Jason, look at these times here. I was about to say, speaking of Cart Dude, his rival Formula One Rocks there, just going through, only good enough for 7th on the grid, as Jason Wilkinson now taking provisional pole position with a 1:25.032. So some pretty quick times early on, but we did mention that we might see an expected pole time of a low 1:24. And that PS4 lap record, of course, a 1:24.824. Like we said, though, I've had a few drivers under that, so who knows, maybe 23s, but that could be pushing the envelope quite a bit. But just under 10 minutes remaining now in this qualifying session, and have a look at those cars. They're on the ragged edge, aren't they, Rob, as we see Jason coming around here.
Yeah, it's really hard to make lap time around here. Noticing with the Ford last night, and also a little bit with the Corvette. The Corvette's a bit more pointy than the Ford, but the Ford is has a very stable setup. So around here, when it's trying to point its front end into the corners, it just can't make it. It just understeers across the track where the tyres just rub across the track pretty much. But yeah, the Corvette's certainly looking a lot quicker around here. Don't know what the tyre life around here for the Corvette will be. I think we've been talking about that there might be a possible tyre stop within the race tonight, with just the circuit eats the tyres. But the best way to make time around here, Trev, is getting on those curbs. And I mean, when you get on those curbs, especially if there's a race part of it, hit it as hard as you can and rotate the rear around.
Yes, great advice, and well, I reckon Nemo and V8 Man might have been doing that a little bit too much. I can see some penalties next to their name so far, currently sitting on the second row of the grid, third and fourth respectively. Both, well, a second off of Formula One Rocks now, who's put in another blistering time, his second run so far this qualifying session. A 1:24.449, and that is going to take some beating, but still 8.5 minutes remaining in this session. As here we go now, these cars they look absolutely brilliant around here. And we're just looking at the track map. We've got some pretty ordinary corner names, some pretty impressive ones too. The McDonald's corner, Hotel, the Triple, the Hasselroda, the Bauer curves, and the Zeppelin curves. So some pretty interesting corner names there, Rob. We like to be across everything about the circuits, about the drivers, about the cars. As Truss, speaking of just being across everything, coming off his first official win last week. It's hard to believe that last week was only his first win, but he dominated, didn't he? Qualifying and the race as well from start to finish.
Yeah, he certainly did dominate the race, Trev, and just the way he's been driving the last few, ever since he came into the league, where did he come in? Long Beach. He was always mega quick, and he should have probably had a lot more wins, certainly at Suzuka, where he pitted late. He was leading for all that race, but he just pitted too late and dropped behind Formula 1 Rocks, and then ended up disconnecting after having a fantastic battle with Kart Dude. But it's very surprising this man just got his first win within the league. It's been a long time coming, to be honest. We've been counting our days, and chickens maybe a little bit too soon with a dude, but he's rotated the rear around way too much, and he's going for a wall. Just pulled up there nicely, but he's going straight to the pits. But expect him to be setting a quick time tonight, Trev.
And they tell us not to talk about the commentator's curse. And you saw it. Evidence was right in front of you there for everyone watching at home. We gave him a big rap, and look what happened. They'll let you down every single time. 2 second places and a third place. So he's been there and thereabouts for Truss, and it was great to see his first win last week. Speaking of wins, this man, 6 wins out of 10 starts. As somebody's off in the background there, but never mind about that. We're focusing on this man. 6 wins for the season and a very, very comfortable 48-point lead over his nearest championship rival, Kart Dude, the man who's sitting on the beach having a holiday. So I guess the unfortunate thing for us as the viewer, and you as the viewer and the spectator, is that gap will only get bigger tonight. But don't forget about Jason Wilkinson there either. He's got a win too, and 3 podium finishes. He's on 99 points. And we might just take a quick look at the Constructors' Championship as we see Formula 1 Rocks starting another lap now. He's still on provisional pole position. What can Jason do? Oh, sub-GT putting in a time there too, Rob, of a 1:24.7. 5 minutes to go, just under 6 minutes in fact in this session tonight. We'll take a quick look at the Constructors' Championship. And, there's not really much to report there, Rob. Shake and Bake Racing still 44 points ahead of Sodi Motorsport. And then in third place, he's third in the Drivers' Championship, and they're third in the Constructors' Championship as well. It is Team Victoria Bitter. Yeah, thank you, Kid Buyers. You do that each and every week. But it's very close, though, as we see this man again. Well, look, it's very close at the top, too, Rob. Those times, they're tumbling. And could we see a 1:23? If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be either Formula 1 Rocks or maybe Truss could be in there as well.
Yeah, Truss hasn't actually had a very good start to this session. He's actually had a couple of spins, and he's looking a bit rattled, but we know how extremely quick he is. It's interesting when you sit behind somebody when you do this sort of thing, and you sit behind them and you see how they race a car and their racecraft. And I can tell you, when you sit behind Truss, it's amazing how he controls a car. His car's pretty much sliding all the time, but he's making so much pace out of it. So, yeah, Truss certainly will be making moves to be up at the top, but Jason Wilkinson is actually slowly improving his time each lap.
He certainly is. He's getting ever closer. We mentioned Truss, though. He did set a 1:24.3 in practice, so keep an eye out for him. But here we go, riding with Jason Wilkinson now. The man who could have possibly been in the commentary box, but Rob, we needed you, and we didn't need Jason in the end, thankfully. But now inside the cockpit here of this beautiful machine, and you can see there on the dashboard all of that information. The driver's got to take everything in. You can see there in miles per hour the speeds as he goes through the left and right, and running a little bit wide there, but he manages to gather it all up.
In that car.
A little bit of understeer, a lot of understeer in fact there. He seemed to struggle coming out of that corner. He's currently in P3, just 4/10 off of Formula One Rocks in first place as he's coming up to some traffic. Whether that car will get out of his way or he's easing off here, Rob.
Yeah, he's easing off. He's probably just felt that the tyres have gone a bit too warm. It's actually it's funny, we've been talking about the track temperatures, but I've been finding that the tyres warm up massively around here. You've got long corners for the tyres to process a lot of friction, a lot of heat going through those corners. So I actually think this might be a bit of a tyre heat wear race instead of an actual tyre wear race. It's very interesting how they are heating up around here. So the people who are running lower pressures are probably going to be struggling towards the end of the race here.
And I reckon the track can rubber up nicely. Speaking of tyres, speaking of Kart Dude earlier on in this live stream, he's just left a comment. He's decided to check in with us from somewhere, I was about to say somewhere warmer than here, Rob, but it's about 46 degrees where I am in this part of the world tomorrow, and it's not much cooler in South Australia, I've been told. But he says, hey cuties, and let's just keep those hashtags coming in for Kart Dude. But Truss, here we go, riding with this man again. Currently a 125.5, and there's going to be all sorts of pressure on him. Just a little tick under 2.5 minutes left in this session. And I reckon he'd want to be getting around 1 minute 24, so there is the option if he can get around quick enough to start a final hot lap, but that's not going to help him as he starts it, Rob.
Yeah, that's not going to help him. He's probably just got to jump back to the pits here and hopefully get back on track as soon as possible. I think it's a 50-second, I think it's a 50-second pit stop here, which is a long one, but it ends up being 32 seconds on track. It's very weird how the pit lane is situated here, but Truss has just gone into the pits and he'll be back on the circuit hopefully soon, because we want to see him challenging Formula One Rocks, and let's just say that he made Formula One Rocks look pretty average last week, Trev.
He sure did. And Jono always has appeared to be in a league of his own along with Kart Dude for the majority of the season. But the track just really suited him, didn't it, at Algarve and in Portugal. And he just was just that little bit ahead all the time, and that gap was steady throughout the course of the race, and nobody could match him last week. And as we see Righty for Team Victoria Bitter coming into that first corner, I tell you, I reckon we're going to see some tricky action there, Rob, because that is very tight. It's a funny sort of corner. I did a few practice laps. I actually came out of the pits in the wrong direction, hence why I commentate. What do they say? Those that do it, or those that can't talk about it. I'm not sure which way that is around, but Righty, he'll be looking to improve, though. Currently P9, his teammate in P3. And that is a strange anomaly about the pit stops you mentioned earlier, Rob. 32 seconds, but the whole pit transit is about 50. A bit like the Silverstone pits. And I've got to admit, when I found that out earlier this afternoon, my mind was officially blown.
Yeah, it's a weird pit lane here. You come out and it's a chicane left and right onto the circuit. It's incredibly slow, and when you want to get back on the circuit, you want to be going as quick as you can, and it's just very annoying as somebody who's done this quite a bit. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Roddy's car looking very understeery and oversteery, so that's going to be interesting for him. He's gone to the pits there, but our man Truss has not come back onto the circuit. He's accepted that he's in 10th, Trev.
Well, this is absolutely incredible. And in the meantime, Andy, that's a good one for Womp. Or maybe not now. I was about to say that would have been a good shot, that car getting sideways. But Formula One Rocks with a 124.192, Rob. Das ist ein Osterlich, which is amazing, I think, in German. That is incredible, a 124.192, so quicker than the times we were seeing in the practice sessions. And the current time, the qualifying session has finished. Rick says, how Rob, how's the foot? Never mind about that. Formula One Rocks getting very sideways. He is on it, isn't he, Rob?
Yeah, he's really on it. I think he's probably scrubbed some time off there, and he knows that, so he's gone back to the pits. But his teammate, V8 man, is looking pretty good. A little bit understeery there. Didn't get it onto the curbing to rotate the rear around to give him a bit better exit and entry into the next corner. But let's see where this puts him.
Here we go, V8 man now. Never in my life have I used more love emojis, or love reactions, I should say, as this man's Facebook. I'm a big fan of his as he comes across the line. And, here we go. What can he do? Not. I don't think he has improved. So, V8 man So Dane will be in P6, and he looks to have some sort of penalty there, so he'll be starting on the third row of the grid. Steve McDonald, big good evening to you. He says, how about Fubbles? Well, I'll tell you about Fubbles. He's off the track, and he is starting behind V8 Man in P7 tonight with a time of 125.336. Was his time beaten or something? He's just saying that he's shouting in anger there in the McDonald household. But anyway, we might get back to that one a little bit later. So it's Formula One Rocks taking pole position back where he belongs, you might say, ahead of Sub GT Racer. 3/10 behind him. Jason Wilkinson in third. Waffles in fourth. Nemo in P5. And then it is V8 Man we saw on your screen in P6. Fubbles in P7. HSV in P8. Andy in P9. And then it's Truss rounding out the top 10 ahead of Righty, Smokey, Mickey, You're Not So Fine. And if you're wondering where Mighty Murph was, our favourite Kiwi friend was having a self-imposed qualifying ban. I'll double check that. It might not have been self-imposed, Rob, but hence why we didn't see him in qualifying as we get ready to go racing here at Oschersleben.
Yeah, it's looking like a tight one at the moment. Very hard to overtake here, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but... As I was bug spray everywhere, got ants everywhere. I left beer cans next to me, but let's not talk about my personal problems at the moment. I do have a rotting foot at the moment, but let's not talk about that either. But it's looking like a really good race tonight, Trev. Jono is looking pretty good in pole position, but Sub GT does seem to get pretty good starts. So if he gets a good jump on Jono tonight, we could be seeing some fireworks.
Never mind about the bugs or the bug spray, Rob. You've got both feet attached, and that is all we are worried about. And you are here in the commentary box, about to witness some very hot German action. Oh, don't know when the last time I've seen some of that sort of stuff. But anyway, we better just keep it nice and cool for the moment. It's hot. It's hot, hot, hot in the commentary box. And it's going to be hot, hot, hot out on the track. Don't worry, Steve. Those German jokes are coming. We might have to just scrap a few of them, though, from what I saw off air a little bit earlier on. But there we go. 14 drivers on the grid. And Womp starting right at the back from Formula One Rocks on row 1, P1. To Womp right at the back. It is 14 drivers, and they'll be heading down to the hotel curve with the look in their eyes, that steely look of determination. And boy, aren't we in for an absolute ripper here tonight. 3.66 kilometres here, 25 laps like we mentioned. Round 9 of this championship, just 2 rounds remaining after this. And the suspense, it absolutely kills me. It's killing me right now, Rob, as we get ready to get underway.
Yes, the suspense is killing you and tetanus is killing me right now, and I think the lights are about to go out.
What doesn't kill you will only make you stronger, that's for sure. Here we go. We're getting ready to go racing. The engines are revving. The drivers are ready. We hope you're ready at home. It's lights out, and away we go here in Germany. And Jason Wilkinson gets a good start, but Formula One Rocks does even better, streaking away down into Hotel, the turn 1 here. And it's Formula One Rocks. Then Jason slotting into second, Sub GT dropping down to fourth, V8 Man up into P3, so a good start for him. And Truss, there was contact with Righty, the Team Victoria bit of car there as they all stream around. And I think they've all managed to get away fairly cleanly. Truss, like we said, starting in P10. And Formula One Rocks leads Jason. V8 Man up to third, so the 2 Shake and Bake boys in the top 3. But Sub GT not getting a good start, Rob.
Yeah, not getting a good start. I think that's a bit of a commentator's curse. I did up him up a little bit with his start, but Jason and V8 Man has jumped him. So Sub GT's actually lost 2 spots off that start, which is a bit of a pity, but you know what, that could give us a little bit of action throughout the race if he's got enough pace in that car. And actually, he's right on the back of V8 Man here, Trev.
He certainly is. He's going to get back what is his. And here we go, Sub GT now on the inside, becomes the outside. And he is all over the back of V8 Man as Jason has disappeared off the face of the earth. That submarine must be back. No, he's back again. That's very odd, very Bermuda Triangle sort of stuff there. Very spooky indeed. Jason disappeared off my screen and then he reappeared again. But here we go. Second, third and fourth all on your screen together, and they're 3 wide going into turn 1. Sub GT had a look but elected not to try and pass V8 man there. What action we've seen, and we're only 2 laps in, and there's almost contact there again, Rob.
Yeah, almost contact, and Ridey's finding his way around HSV there. Good pass in the around the hotel curve there, so he's looking pretty good for a good spot here. He's looking at Nemo at the moment. Nemo actually put in some good times early on in the qualifying session, so let's see if he's got enough pace in that car to hold off Ridey. But Ridey looks like he's on a charge, and just going back through the field, we've got Truss hot on the heels of HSV as well.
So Truss starting lower down the order, our winner last week. And he messed things up in qualifying. Only started P10 if I'm not mistaken. But now he's looking very, very racy. And he's currently up to 9th, so he's gained a position. And Mighty Murph just saying, I love this game. Not sure. We'll have to scan that for sarcasm and get back to you shortly. But no, it's a pretty tight track, this one, Rob. No real clean overtaking opportunities, which could mean we could see a very intense race. And that bottleneck at turn 1 and 2, if someone loses it on the curves, we could see some spicy action there as well. But here comes Ridey now, P7 for him. Just a couple of tenths behind Nemo in P6. And it's good to see Nemo up there in P6. And we haven't seen him up there too much so far this season, but it's good to see him in the top 6. As Nemo there just going defensive, trying to fend off Ridey, but I reckon he might be in with a chance here through this long flowing turn 2 up to the Hassaroda hairpin. Oh, he's not going to get through there, but Formula One Rocks currently setting the pace out front with a 1:25.822 last time around, and he's doing a bit of a Truss from last week now. 2 seconds is that gap as we keep riding with Ridey now. HSV slotting in behind him, so that midfield battle, apart from out front, Jace, the battles are awfully close in the early stages of this race.
Yeah, the midfield battle's looking great like it did last week, so that's great for all of us at home. And geez, Truss just getting on the dirt there, very Lambs-esque if we get the Mark Scape comments out of the way early on. Very Lambs-esque, using all the road, even more than the road at that stage. But yeah, Truss is looking pretty quick at the moment. It looks like that Nemo might actually have a slow down penalty. Just popped up just quickly there, and Ridey all over the back of Nemo. Nemo's defending very well, holding his line is very hard to overtake here, like we've covered. And Ridey down the inside, looking very good. Ridey's got it all over and done with. Nemo looking a little bit average around that corner, but he's on the back of Ridey there, getting that slipstream, having a look around the outside. Nemo's got the pace in that car, but is he going to have enough grip to get around the outside of this little chicane here? And I don't think he has. He's gone wide over the... Wow, he's just caused a traffic stop there. So Truss has actually made a pass on him and HSV just because of that little move there. So Truss is back up in the 7th. As
Truss just wiping out our camera there on the exit of turns 1 and 2. Nemo now back down into more familiar territory, you might say. His best finish before tonight was 14th. A couple of weeks ago, but Truss, he's on the comeback drive up to P7 now, and who knows, well and truly on his way towards the front of this pack, and he just needs to clear that traffic nice and early. We mentioned that passing opportunities are at a premium here tonight, and the comment section, thank you, Stephen McDonald, says it's going to be a stinker for you in Benalla, Trev. I've said where I live now, Rob, so we'll have to try and stop those ladies coming to the house, but yeah, sure is. Thanks for thinking of me. But anyway, we've got at least I've got one fan somewhere near me, and it's not managing to keep up and do a good job, that's for sure. But lap 4 out of 25 here. Steve's calling for the German jokes, but it's lap 4 out of 25. So Formula One Rocks across the line, and I think we've got someone coming into the pits there. In fact, a couple of people coming into the pits in the early stages, Rob.
Yeah, probably good move to come into the pits early on, just get out of that traffic and get some clear air going. But yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, HSV's doing a good decision here. Just get into the clear air and hopefully put down some good pace. But yeah, Fubbles is up in the 5th. Fubbles is looking very, very good. L2 and R2, as we always like to say about our man Fubbles on the controller. And he's looking pretty good to catch up to our man V8 man. But I was just thinking, Trev, if Truss can get past Ridey, I think he probably have enough pace to catch up to this main pack here.
It could open up this race. Oh no, Steve. Look away now. Your big bro has gone off the circuit. Fubs there in P8. Just having a little bit of a moment as Dane Williams, my man, just up and about in fourth position. He was as high as third at the start of this race, but he's just going along very nicely indeed in the early stages of this race. He's got a podium, just the one podium so far this season for V8 Man 51, currently P8 in the championship, just 4 points behind Sub GT, the man a couple of spots ahead of him. But what about this man, I hear you ask? Jason Wilkinson, a fan favourite, hit with the ladies, and currently sitting pretty in P3. It's been a good season for Jace, hasn't it, Rob? He's just been scoring podiums, third, second, and then got that win, albeit in controversial circumstances a couple of weeks ago. But he's had a good season.
Yeah, I mean, the first three races of his season weren't that great, to be honest. I think he was looking to take my spot, take my contract from the commentary here, but yeah, he's just remained pretty consistent. Probably been around about average of fourth, but he's been on the podium a fair bit. So, I mean, he's looking pretty good to be in the top three for the end of this year's championship. But he's actually making some inroads here on Sub GT. Sub GT, I don't know what's happening with him. That Corvette is immensely quick, just not quick enough to shake off Jason at the moment. But saying that, Full On Rocks has not actually gapped him that much at the moment. He's only 2.3 seconds ahead of Sub and Jason Wilkinson, so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out around about pit stop time. But just looking through the list here, HSV's had a pit stop, and so did Bubbles. Bubbles came in last lap. I think he had a spin, so it's probably the right time to come in and just refresh and take that pit stop early on so he can focus on the rest of the race trip.
Yes, and we're getting reliably informed as we mentioned pit stops. We saw HSV there going into the pits a couple of laps ago. And Murph ever so kind to inform us that he did hit the pit wall. So Dean did have a bit of a moment there on his pit stop. But have a look at this, Sub GT getting a little bit out of shape there through turns 1 and 2. And now Jason, the man we were talking about, has been pretty good so far in the opening 7 laps here. But he's all over the back of Sub GT. And he is looking good for another podium and maybe more in this race. Should we go, well, we've got a little bit of a lull in proceedings. It's action-packed, as always it is each and every week, Rob. But what did the little German kid say when he pushed his brother off a cliff? Look, mother, no Hans. That's pretty bad, but still, just our first one. Stephen McDonald was absolutely craving that. So there you go, Big Steve-O. Thank you for your company. As you do each and every week. But lap 7 out of 25, it's still Formula 1 Rocks leading Sub GT by 2.7 seconds. Don't tell me you didn't get that, Steve. Please give me some confirmation, brother. Then it's Jason, the man on your screen, in P3. A couple of seconds now, that gap. It was awfully close in the top 4, Rob, but now that gap 3 seconds back to V8 Man. So these top 3 in a class of their own.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good around here. Just Jason just coming onto the straight there, looking pretty good, but that joke didn't really hit the right spot, did it, Trev?
No, I don't think it was quite well received either by the German community here in Australia or anybody on our live stream. I forgot to mention, it would be remiss of me not to mention Truss in P5. We said if he clears the Righty Smokey Andy Nemo battle, and he gets into that top 5, he could be a bit of a smoky in this race. Smokey, he's in P7. What am I talking about? Very terrible puns indeed, but that's just what we do here each and every week. That's why you love us. That's why you tune in. Not like some of the other boring streams that we've seen in the past on YouTube. And I might just stop there, Rob, before I put my foot in it. But here comes Truss. He's just 3 seconds behind V8 Man, who seems to be struggling a little bit for pace here. V8 Man, he could see this man in his mirrors in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I mean, Truss is very strong with his pace at the moment. Probably not as quick as he'd like to be, but you know what, 5th is looking pretty good for him at the moment. But V8 Man is struggling a little bit. I don't know what that could be due to. It could be just tyres, it could be just general pace at the moment. But V8 Man did qualify 6th. So yeah, I mean, he's looking pretty good at the moment, Truss. But Jason has dropped back 2 seconds. Actually, Sub GT has actually passed Jason. So, no, correct that. The tetanus is actually getting to me. Jason has dropped back 2 seconds from Sub GT. So Sub GT is actually pulling away from Jason and actually making a 10th here or two to Formula 1 Rocks. So Formula 1 Rocks might want to start thinking about getting the pedal down, but it'll be interesting to say, as we always say every week, when it comes to strategy, when do they pit, when don't they pit? And I think we've learned from previous races, if you leave it too late and you come in and pit, you will be overtaken by everybody else who are following you. So that could be interesting, but Formula 1 Rocks doesn't seem to like to pit early on within the race, probably around about lap 15, 16 he likes to pit, so that'll be good to see. But just going through the field here, Trev, not much action, to be honest, on the circuit at the moment. We do have a few people who have actually pitted, so we might have to wait for the end of the race for this one to spice up a little bit.
It could be a slow burner, as it so often is with these races. And we talk about strategy, it kind of consumes sort of the mid part of our race, doesn't it? When, who will pit when, and so on. But a big hello to Grace, who says, coming from a German family, it's funny. Thank you, Grace, and a big hello to you. And Stephen says, Latex wouldn't like those jokes. The man who, Latex not in this race, not in Tier 1, I don't think anymore, but he's, and Murph says, love me a slow roast lamb. So get your comments in, we love them, absolutely. Cart Dude says, no Cart Dude, no action. And we're approaching the midway part of this race now. So like we said, it could be a bit of a slow burner, but have a look at that gap at the front. Sub GT's taken the lead here, Rob. Incredible stuff. Formula 1 Rocks down to second. What happened there?
I mean, it's interesting. Every time we see that Formula 1 Rocks gets under pressure, he does have a little moment. He had one last week when it came with Trust. Trust was following him, and he just had a little moment, got the rear end around. So I think Formula 1 Rocks is under pressure here, Trevor. I don't think he's had a lot of this this year. So he's leading the points very comfortably, and at this point, every win he gets is just adding to his reputation. But every time, like the last maybe 4 races, people have genuinely challenged him to race victories, and that hasn't happened the the first part mid-season this year. So I think Formula 1 Rocks might be a little bit under pressure here, Trev.
He certainly is, and we didn't see it on the stream, but Sub GT has taken the lead. It was Truss who was ahead of him last week. This time it's Sub GT, and I reckon Formula 1 Rocks really needs to get on the gas. Probably shouldn't say that given where we are in this part of the world. But lap 11 out of 25, that gap is half a second. And Jolie on the live stream, who looks, given by that channel avatar, he must be an international guest. Big hello to you. We do go worldwide on this live stream. They love our humour and hilarity. But we're in for an old ding-dong battle. Soon as we say there's no action, Rob, look what happens. We get something spicy.
Yeah, we get something spicy. I think Jolie might be actually my mate Joel. So he's not international. He's a big fella. He kind of looks like a silverback gorilla. He will punch me in the face for saying that. So if I do end up going missing, please send the police. But Formula 1 Rocks is still harrying Sub GT. He just doesn't look as comfortable through the second sector as Sub GT does at the moment. That Ford is very, very grippy, very stable setup. That Corvette's very pointy, gets into the corners easier than the Ford, so he can get more traction and a little bit more drive out of him. But as we do say, that the Fords do suffer with a little bit of aero wash as well, Trev, so that could be playing a big part into this as well.
Yes, it certainly is, as these boys coming up to the Zeppelin curve. And you've got to say, it's gone a little bit Hindenburg for Formula 1 Rocks here as he comes across the start-finish line. So the challenge has been set. And look at that, he's matching him for lap times as well, a 1:25.5 compared to Formula 1 Rocks, a 10th slower with a 1:25.6. So Formula 1 Rocks not out of this by any means, but he does have his work cut out for him. That's for sure. Jason there still in third, of course, 5 seconds behind that leading battle. And then it is V8 Man 2 seconds further behind him. Truss is closing that gap given this battle at the front, Rob. We could see this man figure at the end of the race. He's been quite lucky getting through that midfield pack as we've been following his progress earlier on in the race. And then there's not much else too close after that. Fubbles and HSV for 10th and 11th there, I think, is the closest gap in the mid to lower field. But lap 12 out of 25, half the race gone, half still to go. Oh yes, we love saying that. We've missed it for a few weeks in a row now, but Formula One Rocks on bonnet cam now is chasing down Sub GT, and there's a little bit of traffic further up ahead. Will that have an impact on this battle, Rob, I wonder?
I'm not too sure. I'm trying to figure out who that might be. That looks like Fubbles' Corvette, so Fubbles should be able to get out of the way for these two, but he doesn't have to just yet. This could be good for Sub GT when he closes in on him. At the right time. If he doesn't get that aero wash and on a straight, he could probably get a slipstream, so he might pull a 10th on Formula Rocks here. But Formula Rocks still not out of it, still harrying quite a bit. I think he's still struggling with a bit of aero wash though, and perfectly clips the curbing there, getting the rotation around for the rear end. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Yet we still haven't had any pit stops from the main five yet, and Fubbles gets off to the racing line. Thank you, Fubbles, for that. We always like clean races. We don't like the back markers getting in the way too much. Fubbles unfortunately dropped back quite a bit. Fubbles was up in 5th and just had a spin and pit stop, and he's all the way back in the 12th now. So that's unfortunate for Fubbles, but he's pretty quick on his day. But having a look at this, Truss is on the heels of V8 Man.
Oh yes. We did say that it wouldn't be too long before V8 Man would see this bright yellow Corvette, and he's off the track. Oh, look away, Grace, if you're watching, because that is absolute disaster there for Dane, V8 Man. And he knows how to pull at those heartstrings, doesn't he? He was looking pretty there in 4th place, and the pressure just got to him, Rob, and that caused the unforced error. And now, like a cork out of a bottle, Truss can chase down Jason. Just 4 seconds between them now.
Yes, there's blood in the water, like there's blood on my bandage at the moment, Trev. But Formula One Rocks has actually closed in pretty significantly on Sub GT here, so he might be looking for a move either this lap or next lap.
Here we go. Is the move going to be this lap? And he just has a little bit of a cheeky look, but he's not going to get through there, through turns 1 and 2. And everybody getting behind Truss. Connor and Steve saying, "In God we trust." Absolutely love your work, boys. Just champagne comedy there. But Formula One Rocks now. Where can he make a move in this lead battle? Sub GT, lap 14 out of 25. And he has got 2 second places and a 3rd place, but no wins yet this season for Sub GT. He's looking very good, but Formula One Rocks will keep him honest all the way to the end of this race. Yet to make their pit stops, like we've mentioned, but we'll wait and see when they decide to pit and whether that will play a part. We mentioned the obscure, strange, weird pit stop times here. I think you lose, 30 seconds? Oh, here we go, V8 Man now. We've got some pit stop action. He's into the pits and out again, so that puts him out into P8. And so that will be a little bit difficult for him to come back there, but still looking good for maybe a top 6 finish as HSV now comes through. V8 Man right behind him after his pit stop, but he will have the fresh tyres here, so is he going to have a crack while he's got the fresh tyres? The lights are on, and Dean is going to be he's a big man, that's for sure, Dean, in real life, and a bit like your mate Jolie. They might go well together, those two. Wouldn't like to meet them in a dark alley, though. But he's going to be a hard man to pass. That car is going to be very, very wide. And he's not going to do Dane any favours at all, Rob, after that pit stop.
Yeah, he's not going to do any favours for him at the moment. HSV has already done his pit stop, so they are racing for position. But having a look at this, Smokey Truss's teammate has come in for a pit stop, so this is going to be interesting to see where this puts him out. And there'll be a good barometer for Truss to see if Smokey puts on new tyres and see how quick he can go. But Truss, he's actually staying roughly around about 11 seconds away from the lead, so he's not actually making too many inroads at the moment with Jason Wilkinson. Formula Rocks has actually dropped back almost to a second at the moment, so this is very interesting to see how this is going to play out for the lead here. So I think Formula Rocks might have actually taken out a little bit too much out of his tyres. As we said, the aero wash, he's going to be scrubbing those tyres, front tyres across the circuit, so he's going to have less grip than Sub GT at the moment. But we don't know what the Corvette's going to do around here with its tyres, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out as well during the race. But at the moment, it's still looking like a bit of a slow burner trip.
Sure is, but it's tightening up that top four. Have a look at those lap times. 26.6 for second, third and fourth. Jono, Jace and Truss all in the 26s. Sub GT. He really is on the pace now. He's dipped into the 125.8s. So 10 laps left, lap 16 now. And 20 people watching this live stream. That's right. And now Formula One rocks into the pits. And here we go. What is he going to change the tyres? What will he do? But, well, we saw Truss pull the pin and get into the pits early and make the strategy call. Now we've seen Jono come in. So Sub GT still sitting pretty out in P1. And then our man there on your screen, Wilco, inheriting P2. So Truss and Righty both with penalties as well, which we have seen affect the results of previous races. And it's going to be interesting to see where Formula One rocks. Where's he come out? He's come out in P6, and he's still there in P5, yet to make a pit stop. But we've got these Tier 2 race results, Rob, which I'll mention just quickly as we head to the final stages of this race. And it was V-Fingers winning the Tier 2 race ahead of Deaf Dude. Still never heard of him. John Dog taking the final podium position. Aussie Bro in fourth. Familiar GTR in 5th, Ned Oakley in 6th, then it was Paul in 7th, Broomy and Compact not finishing the race, with Broomy actually in 8th. There's been contact too between HSV and V8 Man off our screens. It was looking very spicy out of the pit lane for V8 Man, but HSV now has dropped back further behind him. We've got Truss in the pits again, Rob. What's happening there?
I think this is the first time he's gone to the pits. We might be getting him mixed up with his teammate there, Trev, old mate Smokey. But Smokey is looking pretty pacey at the moment, up in the 7th. He's got a little bit of a gap to Van Man, not much though. It's only a second in between them and those two. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And Andy's into the pits as well. So this is going to be looking interesting for the Ferrari boys. And where did Waffles and Bits go? I think he might have disconnected, but he was looking very pacey throughout the qualifying session as well. So that's unfortunate, but we got Andy in here, his teammate, so that's good. Sub GT, very comfortably in the lead at the moment, 8 seconds ahead of Jason Wilkinson. Righty down, about 17 seconds away from the lead here, and Truss just coming out onto the circuit now, in front of Formula One rocks.
Oh my goodness gracious me. You saw it here first. Truss has got ahead of Formula One rocks. I got my two bananas mixed up. I'll leave that one there for a little bit later. But Truss ahead of Jono. This is incredible stuff. He's up to P4. Just 8 laps remaining in this race. And how important is that, Rob, for the final stages of this race here tonight?
Yeah, that's a big one. We don't know what Formula Rocks has done. I mean, assuming that he might have put new tyres on, but Sub GT is actually going to come out in front of this just. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We've got some 3 big hitters at the moment, looking like they're going to be on the track at the same time in the same sort of area. So that's going to be fun to watch, I think, for the end of this race. As we always say, it's a slow burner, but it's looking like it's going to be a hot one at the end of this. And Righty dropping back 19 seconds away from the lead now. He was 17 seconds last lap, so that's interesting to see what's happening there. But what is this man going to do, Trev?
When will he be in? Like we said, pit stop 32 seconds with no tyre change, but the tyre wear here, Rob, very high. Some may change tyres, some may not. The left-hand side tyre cops a beating. That sounds a little bit severe, but it's going to be interesting. Sub GT, that gap though, he's still got the pace. It's still a steady 10 seconds. And could he be on for the win here tonight? You boys in the comments think Sub might win here tonight. Hashtag Corvette OP. And Can't Dude saying go back to Truss. Just leave it here.
Do it there for one rocks.
Oh no.
Oh, he's got it through it. I think that's just because Truss just let him go through there, and that was looking like an airplane like accident at that stage. There's pretty much only one line through there, so Truss did the gentlemanly thing and let him through. But me being me, I would have just parked my car in the middle of the road and made him work for it. But yeah, Truss back down in to 5th there. Fallen Rocks has lost a bit of time following Truss, so that's something to look forward to at the end of the race. Sub GT still hasn't come in for his pit stop. Will he just do a stop and go? Does he feel comfortable on these tyres? Will he change change tyres? This is big questions we need to ask for the end of this race, Trev.
So many questions. Just 6 laps remaining. And Formula One Rocks has put some manners back on Truss. A bit of payback, you might think, for last week when he couldn't get anywhere near him at Algarve. But 21 people watching the live stream right now. World record numbers. 22, make that 22. This is absolutely incredible, and we love each and every one of you wherever you're watching right around the world. Don't forget, if you're new to this channel and new to these live streams, subscribe. I think we're up to about 840 subscribers. I say that because we really need to get to 1,000 and start accepting those donations, Rob, so we can be alongside Cart Dude on holidays. But here we go. Sub GT still setting good lap times, isn't he, Rob? He's 10 seconds. The gap is increasing out the front. No signs of him slowing down.
No signs of him slowing down, but interestingly enough, last lap, Formula One Rocks did a 25, so he's a second quicker than Sub GT on the last lap. So that's interesting to see how that's going to play out. So if Formula One Rocks has put tyres on, he could be really pushing those towards the end of the race. I mean, they're not going to have to do as many laps as the first pair of tyres, so that's something to really think about there. But Sub GT, I wonder what he's going to do. Is he going to just stay on those tyres or not? And we got our man Jason Wilkinson in the pit lane having a service. Talking about back dark alley things, he might be getting a service as well, but we don't want to start talking about that sort of stuff here. Just going through the list though, the 8th man still in 8th. He's looking at HSV at the moment. I don't know what happened. I do recall him actually passing HSV earlier within this race, so that's interesting to see what's happened there. And Smokey in 7th, he's looking at HSV, looking a little bit hungry, a little bit peckish. I'm feeling a bit peckish too, Trev. I think a nice roast dinner would be great if it was winter, but it's not. And Riley still bleeding time at the moment, Trev.
He certainly is the Team VB man, who's, well, hopefully he's not slowing up for his teammate. Hopefully he hasn't heard the call that Jason is faster than you.
He's in the pit.
He's in the pits. Our leader is finally in the pit lane. He was showing good pace, though. It's going to be interesting to see whether he does change tyres, whether he changes all 4 or just 1 or 2 of them, whether he changes the fronts. That the fronts do cop it around here. It is a high tyre wear circuit. But you watch the track and we'll watch the pit lane. We're right across all the angles here on our live stream on the Kid Buyers YouTube channel for SRL Project Cars 2. But where will Sub GT feed out? You've got Righty, Jason, the 2 VB boys, as Righty inherits the lead. But where is Sub GT? Where's Jason? Here he comes. I reckon he's going to be lucky to get out ahead of them, but some traffic there further up ahead. But Formula One Rocks in P4 and Truss as well, who's dropped a fair way back from Formula One Rocks. But here comes Sub GT, the man who was dominating this race. It's a confusing sort of pit lane there, isn't it? The exit that leads into turn 1, but he's in P2 and 11 seconds off of Righty in P1. So with 4 laps to go, he's looking good indeed, Rob.
Yeah, he's looking good, which means he does not have fresh rubber on at the moment, and Formula One Rocks is 11 seconds behind him. So Formula One Rocks might have actually got caught up in traffic when he actually came out from his pit stop. So that's going to be very frustrating for him. But then again, he is on the back end of Jason Wilkinson. He's about, well, not back end at the moment, but he's about 3 seconds away. For some unknown reasons, I thought Fubbles was Formula One Rocks, and Formula One Rocks probably will take a little bit of offence to that, but that's okay. But Sub GT is looking very, very delicious for the end of this race. About 5 laps left to be raced and 11 seconds. He could still bleed a second lap or 2 seconds a lap and win this one, Trev.
He sure could. I love you just sneaking the Bruce McAvaney there, your fellow statesman. Delicious. And Bruce loves to ask himself a lot of questions during any broadcast, doesn't he? But no, we love Bruce McAvaney. But Sub GT now 11 seconds, and it's Jason third, ahead of Formula One Rocks. So there can only be one winner in this race as Righty into lap 22. Just 3 laps remaining until the end of this one. Like we said, only one winner here tonight in Germany. And the rest are going to be all sauerkrauts, you would have to say, at the end of this one. And Grace, not too happy about her man, says you just cannot push people off the track intentionally. Let it be known. Let it all out. That's what we're here for. Her man just not really feeling the love out on track at the moment. But it's all about this battle. Thank you, Murph, Mighty Murph there, who feels the need to let us know about the battles happening down the order. We always appreciate that, bro. I think that they say that in New Zealand, but here comes Jason now, just ahead of Formula One Rocks in P4, and he's hot on his heels now as they come through the little chicane there, and currently P3. He's been in ripping form so far this season. Can he continue that? And well, 10 seconds that gap out front, Rob, and 9 seconds back to these two. So it's, well, we expect it to be a slow burner, but hopefully, stranger things have happened, but this could be the finishing order we might see tonight.
Yeah, this could be the finishing order. We don't know. Formula Rocks just outbraking himself a little bit there on the wrong line, and Jason's pulled over to the right-hand side of the circuit, got the preferred line, but Formula Rocks is overtaking him. So Jason actually made that one a little bit too easy, to be honest. And actually, I've just been thinking, Trev, asking questions just like my great statesman Bruce McAvaney, delicious. What would this, if Formula Rocks gets enough points tonight, would he win the championship?
Oh, that is interesting. I dropped out of mathematics in year 11, so my arithmetic is always suspect. And I've got to admit, there is different point systems for the super sprint rounds and the endurance rounds. We'll get our statistician onto that in the commentary box as we see the end of the race coming up. But I reckon he'd be awfully close, wouldn't he, Rob? I'm just trying to work it out here. 25 points for a regular win. And then that goes down to, I think it's a few less points than that. 15, I think, for the super sprint rounds. And, of course, fastest laps and other things come into play. So we'll get our statistician on that. By statistician, I mean we don't have the money to pay a statistician. Of course, that is Rob and myself. All rolls into one. But he'd be awfully close, though. He'd be a hard man to beat, that's for sure, especially with Cart Dude away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just having a look here. It's 25 points for a win, which means that would be, what, 18 points for a third place there, Trev?
It certainly is, my good man.
He will be the champion by the end of this race if he finishes second, and he's up into second right now.
Unbelievable. So if things stay as they are, that man on your screen will become the champion of SRL Project Cars 2 for season number 3. And the man who is behind him in P3 won't be happy about that whatsoever. We've had 2 championship deciders go down to the last round in Bathurst. And Jason won't like that for the stream ratings, Rob. He's very much the Bernie Eccleston, like we call him each and every week. And we're getting some calls for the HSV V8 battle now. That's very close at the moment as we count down penultimate lap of this race. And Smokey getting a little bit fiery on the comments. We said there could be a few sauerkrauts at the end of this race. And we'll sort that all out in the stewards' room after the race. I think we double up as the stewards as well, Rob. So we've got a busy week ahead of us.
Yeah, we double up as the stewards, and we still don't get paid for that, Trevor. I think we need to go to our union about that, to be honest. But, yeah, it's looking very good for Sub GT's first win of the season tonight, Trev.
It certainly is. You're a very funny man. That's another joke for tonight about our union. But let's have a look at this battle. Dane and Grace not very happy. Fingers saying, yep, HSV and V8 battle, please. But HSV will be absolutely concentrating like you've never seen before in that cockpit. Like we said, he's a big boy, and I'm not too sure whether we got some team radio. But if we did, it would go something like this. I just wish you'd shut up, Kid Byers. I'm trying to concentrate here and you won't shut up. Yes, thank you, Dane. But, well, this is looking very, very close, though, for the final lap. We're coming up to lap 25 now. Who's your money on here, Rob?
Well, I mean, it's the last lap, and HSV has track position, but this is as spicy as a Wiener Schnitzel, and that makes my bratwurst very, let's not talk about that one, but V8 Man is looking very, very, very close. We've got Ridey, who's just had a little bit of spin, so that's going to play into a factor. Hey, he's actually let them pass, actually. Wow, okay, so that's a bit of interesting there. Just a little bit of a hip and shoulder action. Actually, who was that? That was Smokey, I do believe, actually moving across. That was a little bit of lap traffic, so it wasn't for position, but a little door banging there with V8 Man, but that has brought V8 Man a lot closer to the rear end of that Corvette there, Trev.
He certainly will be, and the race is over. Not this race though, this battle continues, but Sub GT's crossed the line. Formula One Rocks will slot in behind him for second place, but it's the battle for 6. Look at this, side by side. Where is V8 Man going to make a move? He's down the inside. Oh, it's awfully close. On the final lap of this race, they're side by side. HSV doing the right thing and giving him room there. And the big man just letting him, well, not letting him through, but he didn't put up too much of a fight, but there's not too much he could do about that. Dane said, I'm coming through whether you like it or not. And Grace will be happy with that watching the live stream. Sir Gluckensteinen, he'll be very happy. That's what very happy means in German. For those of you who don't know at home, as here comes Andy. So it was V8 Man winning that one ahead of HSV. Jason taking the final podium position. What action. We said it'd be a slow burner, but we have seen some action-packed final laps here tonight in Germany. And it's Sub GT taking the win here tonight. And Formula One Rocks, celebrate, everybody, because he is your champion for Season 3 by finishing second here tonight with still 2 rounds to go in this championship. Another podium for Jason Wilkinson. Truss in 4th. Ridey rounding out the top 5. V8 Man we saw on your screen getting P6 out of HSV after an intense battle. Then it was Andy, Nemo, Womp rounding out the top 10 ahead of Fubbles, Mickey not so fine, and Smokey, who retired from that race in the second Corvette. But what a race and what a win for Sub GT. And, well, I tell you what, all 3, our top 3, we interview our top 3 each and every week, and all 3 of our boys will be happy after this result tonight.
Yeah, I think they'll be ecstatic, and it's been a while since Sub GT's actually won a race here, so that's a good result for him. And that was actually a pretty quick race there, Trev, only 36 minutes in total, which is great because I am starving. But Formula One Rocks, season champion, and just got enough points to win it before the last 2 races of America and Australia. So Australia would be back there. So that's looking really good. And Jason Wilkinson, very consistent as always. So Jason Wilkinson still on the podium, still getting those points. So he's looking good for a good points-paying position at the end of this year.
As our champion, Rob. That's right, champion. And the man that finished P2 in this race joins the party. Jono, we might go to you first, mate. Sub GT's also joined. We'll get to you in a moment. But, mate, how does it feel? Second place and a second SRL championship. How do you feel?
Yeah, mate, good. It's actually my first. I know what you're thinking, though. It's all right. But, yeah, it feels good, boys.
I've got the number 2 in my mind as well. We'll give you another one, mate, for good measure. But the way you're travelling, mate, you might win next year as well. But, mate, talk us through your season. 6 wins out of 11 starts, I think we mentioned earlier on in the stream, mate. But how did you feel in that race, mate? It was a bit of a strange race for you, I guess, but you managed to still come out in the top 2.
Yeah, it was a good race, actually. Tyres were wearing out a fair bit, so I thought I might as well give a pit stop a go, change tyres, and see where we end up. It was a pretty good, fun race, fun track. Pretty clean race as far as I know, except for a few down the field, I heard. So, yeah, it's a good night.
Well, Rob, I might just see if you have any questions for our new champion. His first championship, of course. I just seem to associate winning with this man so much that I don't know why I gave him 2. But anyway, he'll get there eventually. But, Rob, any questions for our second place man tonight?
Yeah, F1, that was a brilliant race. Just looking at the strategy there, you did decide to change tyres. I reckon you probably would have had him if you had maybe 3 or 4 laps to go. But, you know what, probably changing the tyres was a good decision. Did you get held up by traffic after your pit stop, though?
A little bit. Nothing major. I had a bit of a run-in with, what's his face, Mickey or something, when I was in the lead in the first stint. He went off the track and came back on the track in like the second last corner sort of thing. And I think he was trying to get out of the way, and I went to the inside, and he went to the inside trying to get out of the way. And that put Sub ahead of me. So, but yeah, it's still a good race. Well done to Sub. Good job. Well done to Jace. Good job, mate.
Well, yeah.
Good boy. Champion, mate.
Well done. Well done as Wilco just up and about in the party chat. But Jono, congratulations, mate. Championship in second place tonight with 2 rounds to go. You can crack out the champagne, mate, and let the party begin. Thanks very much for joining us, mate, and all the best for next week.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
You too, mate. Now, Sub GT, we'll get to you, Wilco. I know you want to have a crack, brother, but we love you.
Winner first.
All right.
Yeah, calm down, Jason. This is our stream now, buddy.
Now, the man who got his first win here tonight, Sub GT, mate, congratulations. Your first win tonight in this championship. 2 second places and a third were your best finishes before that, mate. But talk us about your race, or tell us about your race, I should say. First win for the year. You must be very, very happy.
Yeah, it was a good race. I actually risked running softs, so I was on softs the entire race. There was nothing left in the last 2 laps.
I'm sorry, RS in the end there.
Yeah, they were gone for all money. So I was worried about Formula One picking me up, and you too, Jason.
No, I did the same as you.
Did you? Yeah, but the car was good. I actually sat for 10 laps, just not cruising, but just looking after the tyres, because I knew later on, I was going to need whatever grip I had. It was a good race. It worked. I liked the flow of the track, and yeah, it was good. Good to get one up on Formula for once.
Yeah, so Sub, that was a really good race there, mate. Bloody Formula Rocks was really, really harrying you there for a good while there, and I think it might have been a bit of a blessing in disguise when he went off the circuit there. But good first place. But that was an interesting strategy not to put new tyres on when they were so dead. So what was the car like in those last laps?
It was, as I said, it was actually when me and Formula One Rocks were together for a lot of laps. That's when I actually backed off a little bit, not a lot, just not going hard into the corners, and saved them a little bit. But the last 2 laps I could feel the wheel chatter, and they were burnt out. They were done. Lucky to get it home, I think. Thank you, Andy. Rob Dog too.
Yeah, love it, mate. But we'll move on to Jason Wilkinson, I think, because Jason likes to have his airtime. He's a bit of a I don't know what we'd call him. I don't think it's past 9 o'clock at the moment, Trevor, so we can't call him what we really want to call him. But
it's 5 past 9, mate. So call me a stream whore.
Okay, so Jason Wilkinson is a stream whore. Jason, very good race from you tonight. Really, really clean. It looked like a bit of a boring one tonight, though.
Yeah, well, half hour before the race, I thought I was commentating, so I sort of half packed up the wheel, cracked open the stud. No, it was pretty good. I didn't change tyres, so I had no tread as well. There was chattering like anything, and the good thing was it gave me force feedback back when the wheel started chattering, so that was fun. But yeah, there's no point me trying to hold up F1 Rocks. He was flying, so I said, "You go, mate. You're done." And Sub and I had a pretty good battle until I made a little mistake and let him through, and that was that.
Now, Jace, we cannot continue this interview, mate, without just mentioning your form this season, mate. Another podium tonight, third, second, first at Le Mans, albeit in controversial circumstances. We know all of that, but another third place. And oh, goodness me, with Cart Dude sunning himself on a Tasmanian beach somewhere, you could possibly be into second in the championship, mate. How good would that be?
Negative. No, don't jump the gun. I was 19 points behind, so I'm 4 points behind now, so...
Mate, we're doing it... Well, this is how we're rolling. This is how we're rolling tonight, though, Jace. I gave Jono another championship, so the best I can do is give you P2 in this one.
All right, well, Brody's still watching, so you can adjust the points, bro. Just switch ours around so it makes the stream make sense. So there we go, done.
Well, with two rounds still to go, like we said, but congratulations, Jace. I think, it has been a fast race. That's for sure, and not one Holocaust joke to speak of. So we've managed to get through, Rob. You have with both legs attached, which is always a good sign. I'll let you go, Rob, and thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to our top three, Wilco. Thank you to you, mate, and talk to you soon as well, brother.
Yes. Stay cool, everyone, tomorrow.
We will.
Adelaide, lads.
It's going to be a hot one. You won't need to go very far to cook your German sausages tomorrow, Rob. But thanks very much for joining us for another week, Rob, albeit you've been in hospital and you're off the sick bed, mate. But thank you for joining us. And we've still got 2 exciting rounds to go in this season.
Yeah, it's still looking pretty hot. I mean, Formula 1 Rocks, congratulations to him, first championship. So I'm just going to tout myself for a moment here. And from a 6-time champion to a first-time champion, that was a fantastic season to watch him just be ultra-dominant all the way through the season. So great result for him. And Jason being really, really consistent. Just to see Sub GT pick up the win tonight, that's even better as well. So we've still got 2 rounds to go. We've got Kota next week, I think, and we've got Bathurst the week after. So it's looking like a very spicy end to the season.
Certainly is. The championship may have been decided, but there is still plenty of action in the final 2 rounds of this season. Big thank you to everyone for joining us on the live stream here tonight. If you want to get involved in this, head to www.supremeracingleague.com.au. Big thank you again also to everybody for joining us on the live stream and leaving your comments. And tonight in Germany, it was Sub GT taking his first race win of the season ahead of our new champion, Formula 1 Rocks, Jason Wilkinson in third. And don't forget to join us next week. It's been great to have your company. Indy Road GP, 26 laps, live and exclusive on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe on the 31st of January from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Time on the Kid Buyers channel. We're almost out of time. Stay cool, be kind to one another. Alvida Zane, we'll see you soon.